Good afternoon, curling fans, and welcome to the 2025 Newfoundland and Labrador's Scotties Women's Curling Championships. We are broadcasting live from the Remax Center, the St. John's Curling Club, and its Draw 6 action of this Women's Provincial Championship. Our feature game today is Team Carrie Vautour against Team Wendy Dunne. In the broadcast booth today, it's Steve Sporty Bragg alongside Ken Pettigrew. Ken, we've had a great week at the club so far. What do you expect to see in today's game?
First of all, I'm going to warn everybody I'm a rookie here behind the mic. I'd certainly prefer to be out on the ice, but certainly wasn't our week. And I'm very fortunate to have our veteran commentator here, Steve Bragg, to show me the ropes. So, on the ladies' side is the focus for the day, and very, very interesting. We've got 3 ladies' games happening. All 6 ladies' teams are still in contention for the 2 playoff spots. What happens here today is going to go a long ways to determine those 2 spots.
Yeah, Ken, it's a big game today for both Carrie and Wendy. Carrie's just coming off a big victory this morning over Sarah Boland. She sits at 2-2 in the standings, and Wendy is currently at 1-2. Carrie and Wendy both need to win this game, so I expect an exciting match here today.
It looks like we're well underway here in the first end, and I do believe it is who had hammer, Steve?
Carrie has hammer, and it's a pretty clean end here so far. There's a rock in the top 4, and she's asking her lead, Jennifer Glasgow, to make the hit, and probably going to have a clean end there, Ken, as the players just get the kinks out and get warmed up and break down the pebble a little bit.
And very understandable as well, too. If you're not aware, we do use time clocks at provincial events as well, too, and sometimes a quick first, second end can save you some time towards the end of the game when you really, really need it.
So, Ken, the format here for the ladies, we've got a 6-team round robin, and the top 2 teams will make the playoffs. So, as we said, big game. This is Carrie's last game of the round robin. Wendy has 2 left, and they both really need to win this game.
Yeah, the standings are as tight as they can be. Every team out there has 1 or 2 losses, so everybody's very much in the mix, right down to the wire.
So, Ken, Wendy's called this rock into the rings. Looks a little heavy. I don't know if it's going to stick around. And it's not. So I expect now you might see Carrie go up and throw the corner guard and maybe go after her deuce here in the first end.
Well, I think we'd all like to see that, but by indication, she's going to come into the house and keep the clean end going and bank some time and maybe get out of here with a blank.
So you're right, Ken, there. Just looking to keep this relatively clean, have a simple end. And you mentioned it. These are 10-end games. They're not 8-end games like you'd see on the curling tour right now, the professional curling tour. So there's a lot of time. So they're willing to take a bit of time here, try to, like you said, bank some time, and just get loosened up and get ready for maybe some more action in the second end.
Unfortunately, that one slipped through as well. It's been a trend all week. The ice is incredibly quick to start the game. It's quick for the draw to button, but the first 2 ends you have really fast ice, and it tends to slow down very quickly around the 3rd or 4th end. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. Maybe it's a little bit of nerves as well, too. Some of these ladies is probably one of the bigger games they've ever played in, but it looks like we've got better draw weight coming here now.
Yeah, this is a second for Wendy Dunne, Mackenzie Din. Mackenzie hails from the Bjorn Peninsula, and we've got a lot of representation this weekend from right across the province, and some curlers who weren't originally born here in the province who are playing in this. So great to see a lot of representation across the ices from across the island. Ken, so it's a pretty straightforward end here now. Carrie's asked her second, Courtney Barnhill, to make the hit and stick around. She's going to hit. and I think it's going to hang out there in the 12-foot. So a nice shot by Courtney Barnhill.
Very nice shot. That's a very tricky when you get out to the wings. Um, because of the draw to the button in practice, you very rarely now do anybody practice any hits out wide. So roll into a little space like this is where you could potentially get that very rare wide open miss.
So, Ken, you played this week in the Tankard. I would have loved to be out there on the ice. Unfortunately, I didn't play this week, but you had the opportunity to be out there. Uh, and unfortunately, the week ended for you. But how was the ice when you played out there?
That long ago, Steve, I can't remember. Unfortunately for our team, it was a quick event. We were 3 and out. The ice was tough. Call it spade a spade. The skipper didn't show up, and although this is a team game, when the skipper's not going well, it's going to make it really tough to win. Um, the hardest part I found was the draw weight, just getting a handle on the draw weight. Us being a senior team, we rely very, very heavily on knowing where to put the broom and having that exact draw weight and making that perfect freeze. And that high hard one isn't in our arsenal anymore. So when we struggle with draws, we look bad at times, and resulted in giving up some big ends. We gave up a 5-ender, a 4-ender, and it's tough to come back from those crooked numbers when you're playing teams of this quality.
So, Ken, we did have a miss on the hit there earlier from Wendy Dunn's third, Krista Crowther, and Kerry asked her third, Courtney Barnhill, to draw into the house, and she just caught the back of the 12-foot. So Kerry is line two, and Wendy's going to go back at that one out in the 12-foot.
Yeah, she tightened up the ice, and it looks like they're on this one pretty good to try to hold it. This, as I mentioned earlier, is one of the real tricky spots. If I could describe the layout of the ice, it's kind of like a W, where you have some high spots out wide, and you have some dips in the middle. Her first one just did not want to get up over that hill. Second one, they did a great job to hold it. She got a piece, rolled out, but both forced Team Vautour to draw a second point in and hopefully not set up a double.
Yeah, so if Kerry can put this in the right spot, she's looking to be in a relatively good position to potentially get the, as we used to call it, the old junior deuce. No guards. Split the house.
Yeah, it was my last year of juniors. Went to nationals, Steve, and that was the last year before they brought in the 3-rock rule at the time. And I do remember, obviously we weren't in the final at the nationals, but the team that was in the final clearly said before the game, our goal is to blank the first 9 ends and to take our 1 and 10. So when it got to that point, we were due for a change in the rules, and certainly made it all the better. We're constantly evolving now, of course, up to the 5-rock rule. And if you're curious, the team that said they were going to blank the first 9 and take their 1 and 10, they blanked the first 8. The other team went so hard that they took 2 and 9 and won the game 2-0. So.
Yeah, a couple things on that. Number one, I know some of the reasons the rule came in too. I think there was a Briar final on one year, and the fans actually started chanting "boring, boring," as one of the teams got up 2-0 and just started firing the smoke and peeling for 8 ends. So that's a great point that you make. The other point, I unfortunately remember the 1991 Newfoundland Junior because you won it and I finished second, skipping a team which featured Keith Jewer. And I think it was that was played here at the club, and it was you. I think it was Terry Strickland, Jason Daly, and John Green, if I recall correctly, in '91.
You got it right on, yeah. And our final wasn't the most exciting thing in the world either. Back in the day, you did what you had to do to win, and I think we blanked 8 of the 10 ends in that game as well too, and won by a score of 3-2.
And that was that in Leduc, Alberta? Am I recalling, or somewhere in Alberta you guys played the Nationals?
Yeah, beautiful Leduc, Alberta. Just an unfortunate miss there by Wendy now. Opens the door for a 3-ender here for Kerry if she can draw another one in.
Yeah, that's a tough miss for Wendy early in this game.
So it was in Leduc at the curling club, and At the time, the Leduc Curling Club was probably one of the major hotbeds of curling in the country, of course, led by Kevin Martin, curled out of the Leduc Curling Club. And it was my first experience with what I'd call spectacular ice. And certainly fun to play on when you can get that 6 feet of curl. We're going way back now. Even at that event, my lead, John Green, used a corn broom. And he was the last I can remember to go out 10 ends with a corn broom, 11 games, and however many days, 5 or 6 days.
It'll keep you in shape.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Kerry's Rock is underway here.
Yeah, I think, Ken, she's trying to draw it maybe top eight, almost even with that other rock in the top eight. And it's tough to avoid leaving some kind of double here. But if Wendy can't make a double, Kerry's in a great position to score three.
Front end is on and off, but staying close. Must be very close for weight.
So real nice shot there by Kerry Vautour. And she lies three as Wendy Dunne throws her last rock. Ken, it looked like they were talking about maybe making that double on the one that Kerry just threw and taking the back one as well. At this point, you're in a bit of trouble. You're likely, unless you can make a spectacular shot here, you're probably giving up two. You'd really like to try and avoid giving up three in the first end.
Looks like she's tight in the ice. She would have got a little read there from her first one. Once again, choosing to go the inside out route.
So I know Wendy's focused on this game, but she probably can't help but look over on ice 4 right next to her, and her daughter Camille is playing and chasing her, I believe, third Scotties in a row. She played with Stacey Curtis the last 2 years, and now finds herself as the lead on Team Brooke Godsland. So Wendy's let the rock go, Ken, and they're hammering it the whole way for the curl. They're really trying to make this move, and it's going to have to go hard to get a piece.
Just a piece and not enough to get it out, and it's going to be an open draw for 4. Yeah, it's a great story with Wendy and Camille. Wendy's also been very successful at the club championship level, if I remember correctly. So
you're correct. She has played, I believe, 3 curling club championships, 2017, 2020, and 2022. So she has had a good run at the provincial and national clubs.
Which means I'll likely see her in Corner Brook in the first week of March. Our team will be going out for the club championships. A lot of teams this year. It's just been confirmed that we have 10 teams. We have a full field for the men's club championship this year.
Is that the final number? Because I'll be seeing you out there as well. We're heading out. I thought I was hearing possibility of 11 or 12, but that's going to be a great event out there with 10 teams.
It is. I'm very hopeful they're going to split us up into groups, but be a long week if we have to get 10 games in or 9 games in a very short period of time. Really working this one hard, Steve.
They just need a piece of the paint, Ken, to get the 4-ender, and they're really digging in on this and some nice sweeping. And it is a 4-ender for Kerry Vautour in the first end.
Big start.
Real big start. So in the 6-draw game, in our feature game here on Ice 3, it's 4-0 for Kerry Vautour after one end. We'll take 30 seconds, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. We're broadcasting live from the Remax Center, the St. John's Curling Club. It's the 2025 Newfoundland and Labrador Scotties Provincial Women's Curling Championships. Our feature game today is Carrie Vautour versus Wendy Dunne. And Ken, in the first end, Carrie was able to get a four-ender and get off to a big start in this very important game for both teams.
Yes, and started very slowly that end, and a four materialized out of nowhere. I'm sure now we're going to see a lot of rocks in play. Wendy's going to do everything in her power now to get on the comeback trail. She started there with a corner guard, and hopefully we'll see some exciting action here this end.
So Carrie put a rock in the top of the 8-foot. Not surprisingly, Wendy threw the corner guard, and now Carrie is asking her lead, Jennifer Glasgow. I think the call is, Ken, is she going to get into the guard game, or is she going to come in and tap that blue rock?
Did not see the call. This one seems to be hanging. Looks like it may split off. That corner is what they're trying to do now and roll for center guard.
She's going to get the center, but I think she would, with that kind of weight, she was probably coming in and just trying to tap her rock to the 4-foot. Jennifer Glasgow, the lead, was actually born in Edmonton, raised in Ottawa, and moved to St. John's in 2010. So she's been making her way across the country, and she now plays for Carrie Vautour.
And speaking of making their way across the country, we do have a name here on the men's side that a lot of people mightn't be familiar with, and his name is Ty DeLello. He's here from Manitoba. He's skipping some of our clubmates here. Ryan McNeil Lambswood, Daniel Bruce, lead on the team. The name escapes me.
He's got Aaron Feltham is playing lead.
Aaron Feltham is playing lead. And I do have a cool story about that team, and I wanted to share it. Wednesday morning of this week, it was kind of a blinding snowstorm. And myself and Mark Healy, coming at the club in different directions, both got stuck in crazy traffic and didn't make it in time for our first practice. And Ty and the guys decided that they would forego their second practice and would jump on the ice and take the first practice. If you're not familiar, it is a big advantage to have second practice. We're drawn to the button to determine hammer, and having ice that's already been freshened up for you on both sides is a huge advantage. So the guys did that for us, and I think that says a lot about our sport, just the sportsmanship, and it says a lot about those four guys as well, too.
Great story, Ken. I've had the fortune this year playing in the Super League with Dan Bruce and Aaron Feltham, and they're great young fellas. We've been playing pretty good, actually. I say I'm doing the Russ Howard thing with the guys, but they're good young fellas, and you're absolutely right about the sport. You want to go out there. Everyone wants to go out there and win, but there's a certain level of respect out there when you're in a competition like this, and it's a great sport in that regard, and that's a classy gesture by the guys. So Ken, here in this game, a nice roll was just made by Carrie Vautour's team underneath the center guard, and now Wendy is trying to tuck one in there, maybe freeze to the top one, but this rock's going really hard.
Yeah, that one looked like it may have picked. See, that one really went hard at the end.
So now Carrie finds herself in the dilemma. She's got one in behind the center. She is up 4-0. Sometimes you want to keep it a bit cleaner, but Ken, sometimes the best defense is a good offense, and she's going to bring another one in there behind the center guard.
Once again, Steve, yeah, I skip a seniors team, and our only defense is offense.
So this is Sydney Parsons, the second for Carrie Vautour. And she's trying to
pull. That's a great line, I think.
It looks pretty good, Ken.
Team Vautour has come to play today.
Nice shot there by Sydney Parsons, right on the lid, Ken. Great shot. And they actually changed around the order of this team and shifted the order from what they've been playing all week. We'll get to that now in a second. Wendy's called for the run back here, Ken, or at least peel it out, open it up, because those two rocks are in a pretty good position.
She's very close to making some noise here. That's a tough break.
Yeah, that was unfortunate, Ken. You wanted to get rid of one of those. She's left corner, or excuse me, left the center guard, and there's still two rocks in behind cover. We didn't introduce the teams, so while we have a minute on the Kerry Vautour team, Kerry's skipping, Kerry Vautour. Courtney Barnhill is playing third. Sydney Parsons at second. Jennifer Glasgow at lead, and the coach is Gary Ryan. And on Wendy's team, Wendy Dunne is at skip. Krista Crowther at third, Mackenzie Din at second, Rebecca Roberts at lead, and Dave Trickett is the coach for the Wendy Dunne team. So Carrie's going to try to tuck another one here in around the corner. She's asking her third, Courtney Barnhill, to try and bury one. Ken Courtney hails from Nova Scotia and has some family roots in Stephenville, Newfoundland.
Ideally here, even if she's a little short, if she could take away both the draw pass and the run back on that yellow center, it would be a very good shot.
And she's just come up a little light, Ken, and rubbed off the guard. But there's a lot of traffic up front there, and Wendy is going to have to look at trying to open this up. She doesn't want to give up another steal. She has to at least score one here. So she's going to take a look at this and see if she can run one of those yellows back into the two blue in the house.
Two good options there. You can attempt a double peel and try to set yourself up for something better on your next one. Or you could go a little bit all in and attempt to run back in, and it looks like she's opted to run the one on the corner back in.
Looks pretty close, Ken.
That's a good result. She got one. Unfortunately, she lost the rock. She ran back in, but she did open up one side and removed one of the two opposition stones.
And no hesitation from Carrie. You saw her tap the broom. She's going to go and pull one right in behind that center guard, right on top of her rock in the button. And that's going to create some problems again for Wendy if she makes this shot.
Sweeper seemed to like it early.
Looks pretty close, Ken.
And there it goes. Now they're on it.
And they're working at it at the end for the curl, and this is a really, really nice curling rock by Courtney Barnhill.
Yeah, they certainly seem to have their draw weight early and are putting a lot of pressure on Wendy. But no hesitation again. Straight run back. Certainly possible to get both of these blues moving.
So this is the third Krista Crowther for Wendy Dunne. And like you said, Ken, she's trying to straight run back and see if she can get the double. Or working it really hard, but I think it might just over curl a shade.
I thought she threw it pretty well. It just really seemed to curl, and it's not a spot traditionally that would curl.
So Carrie's going to go up there, Ken, and put a guard on these two rocks. And if she puts the guard in the right place, it's going to put a lot of pressure on Wendy.
Going to put a tremendous amount of pressure on Wendy because that was a yellow guard. They had the opportunity to run back. If this is made right, it's an opposition blue rock you've got to send back into the cluster. And obviously, there is no draw to outcount those blues.
So as Carrie steps into the hack here, Ken, Carrie is born and raised and hails from rural New Brunswick, a little town called Tide Head. So if there are people out there watching in Tide Head and watching Carrie from your hometown, hope you're enjoying the broadcast. And she wanted me to give a shout out to her home city.
Gary's Rock is away there now. This is a spot that can curl a lot.
They're hoping, Ken, it's not going to over curl. It's a little hot. It's pretty good. But I do think Wendy with maybe like a board hack weight could probably access that. She might be able to throw the heat and peel them both out potentially.
There's not going to be any shortage of curl over here. So, yeah, I think she certainly has the opportunity to make this shot with the other turn. Would be incredibly difficult all week here. And for most of the year, we found the high spot is between ice 3 and ice 4. And everything curls hard towards the wall side. So in this situation, we're on ice 3. Everything's going to curl hard towards sheet 2.
Ken, this is a really big shot in this game. You've just given up the 4-ender. You're facing 2. This is the first skip rock. You got to bail your team out here right now and make this curling shot. If you don't make this shot, this game could get out of hand in a hurry. So it's a big shot for Wendy Dunne.
She's coming with the heat.
Looks pretty good, Ken. I think it's going to have to curl a little more.
Just got the one. And I'm sure Carrie will attempt to draw in there, preferably in some sort of Christmas tree, as we call it, where they wouldn't be able to fully see either of the blue stones that are in the house. Right there.
I was going to say we're a month out from Christmas now, but the old Christmas tree would be definitely preferred by Carrie here right now. I mentioned Carrie was from Tide Head. She told me Tide Head was actually the fiddlehead capital of the world. I had to Google what a fiddlehead was. Apparently it's a nice green vegetable. Looked pretty good. It's very healthy for you. So I determined, based on my chiseled physique, that I need to eat more fiddleheads. You ever had fiddleheads?
I've never had fiddleheads. I've seen them in the grocery store. I've never had them. But maybe we can ask Carrie if she has some in her locker.
She said she loved to go out and she called it foraging for the fiddlehead. She misses that from her hometown.
Well, in Newfoundland, we eat dandelions, so I'm sure that's no different from a New Brunswicker eating a fiddlehead.
So, Ken, they've taken ice out around the edge of the 8-foot. You mentioned she tapped the broom up there around top 8, top 12 with that, kind of Christmas tree. Had to be a perfect spot, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it looks like a big port, but it's going to curl a lot from the guards in, so how effective you can get with that Christmas tree. Just approaching the hog line here now, and it looks like it's already caught all that curl, and it's curling really hard.
Ken, we saw a rock there earlier in the end, I think, that just went really hard in that same sort of spot. I don't know what's going on there, but that's a couple of rocks that have made a big move as they approach the hog line.
And if you're not familiar, these are not rocks, or at least not surfaces that we're familiar with. Just before the tankard and Scotties, we flipped the rocks so that we're curling with a brand new side. All year we use the other side. We like to save this side just for special events. The rocks tend to be a bit more aggressive. They will curl a little bit harder. So sometimes it could just be the rock. It could just be a flat spot.
So Ken, Wendy is going to try to navigate this port and get in there. I mean, at this point, I don't know if the blank option is still there. It may be with some good firm weight, but she definitely wants to get rid of that blue. If she scores, but she can't give up another steal.
I think she'd be very happy just to get through this somewhat tight port here now. Rock is away.
They're on and off it, Ken, so that's usually a good sign.
And right through. And with the big weight, the blank certainly was there. Great shot by Wendy.
Fantastic shot by Wendy Dunne. They did get the blank, so they'll regroup and try to get some offense going in the third end. After 2 ends of play in this feature game, it's Carrie Vautour 4, Wendy Dunne nothing. We'll be back in 30 seconds for third end action. Welcome back. We're broadcasting live from the Remax Center, the St. John's Curling Club, and its third end action of this 2025 Scotties Provincial Women's Championship. Carrie Vautour leads Wendy Dunne 4-0 in the broadcast booth today. Steve Sporty Bragg, along with 3-time Newfoundland Tankard champion Ken Pettigrew. And before we get back to this game, we're just going to do a run across the sheets to give you some updates in terms of the scores. Starting over on ice 6, Ty DeLillo leads Corey Shue 1-0 as they play the third end. On sheet 5, Sarah Boland is up 2-0 on Stacy Curtis. On sheet 4, Brooke Godsland is up 1-0 on Megan Blanford as they play the third end. And the final game over on sheet 2, Andrew Simmons and Parker Tipple playing one of the C semifinals. They have no score after 2 ends. They blanked the first 2 ends and are playing the third. And Ken, you and I were talking a bit earlier about Parker Tipple and team. They're having quite the run in this 2025 Newfoundland Tankard.
Yeah, for the first time in some time, we're playing what's called a true triple. So a true triple means you need to be beaten 3 times in order to be knocked out of the event. Can make for an incredibly long week, especially if you lose your first 2 games, which we did, and also did Team Tipple. But they've been on an absolutely tremendous run. I guess it's good to be young and still have lots of energy to go back out, game after game after game. Night sleep, rinse and repeat, and do it again. And I believe they're currently on a 4-game win streak. It's got them right back into the mix here. So good for them. Team Tipple is one of our outstanding junior teams here in the club. Our junior program is really reaping some rewards now. We have some great young teams as well. Simon Perry was here this week. Simon and his team are the reigning Canadian under-18 champions. So another Canadian championship for the St. John's Curling Club, the Remax Center. Really, really fantastic.
Yeah, definitely, Ken. I think a lot of this success is attributable to the after-school curling. The family curling is a fabulous program. The kids start really early, and it's nice to see the older juniors, are out on the ice and giving them coaching. I know you coach your daughter as well, so there's a lot of people who are giving back to the game, to the young kids, and the results are definitely showing with a lot of the young talent here at the club. Ken, getting back to our game, Carrie, I think, came up a little light there in short of the house. Wendy pulled her first shot in behind that. There was a missed hit, and now Wendy has brought another rock into the house, so she lies too. And Carrie's going to look at a hit and roll or potential double. I think she'll just play the hit and roll, and Wendy's got to try to find a way somehow to manufacture a deuce at this point.
Well, that's a great point, Sporty, because there was other calls that Wendy could have used other than just draw in wide open. She could have tried to bury another one or maybe throw a corner guard and look for a big end. But it's a 10-end game, and let's just get your deuce and keep playing, keep fighting. Sometimes there's a tendency that you need to get all those, get all the points back all at once. You definitely don't need to. It's a 10-end game.
So Sydney Parsons, the second for Kerry Vautour, has removed one rock, and we'll see what Wendy decides to do here now. She's got one partially behind cover, and she's calling for another one in the house. I wouldn't mind seeing a corner guard at this particular point in time. She's down 4 and she's got to score, so I'd like to see maybe a couple of more guards up front. As you know, Ken, it's a lot harder to score multiple points without any guards. So
It is, and one rollout here could take your entire end away if you don't have that corner guard to fall back on. Certainly your miss if you're drawn out wide would be the B light. Fortunately, this one seems like it's got a little bit too much weight on it.
yeah, they haven't laid a brush to this at all, Ken. I don't know if it's going to stick around.
Very close.
And it just does. And it's actually not a bad spot for the rock to be. So it'll be interesting to see what Kerry plays. If she goes after she's looking at the run.
That would be my least favorite of the three choices. Would either hit the back one or hit and roll off the one in the forefoot. This is the highest risk.
Yeah, if you miss the run, with the way Wendy's been playing, she might just draw over to the 12-foot on the other side of the house, and then you're chasing after 3 for the rest of the end.
3 is in play. Pretty close, though. Wow, very nicely done.
That's a
Keep the blue rock in behind the guard as well, too.
That's a fabulous shot by the second Sydney Parsons. They tell me that she can sing all the elements of the periodic table. Man, Ken, I could have used her in chemistry class in high school, I can tell you that. Were you good at chemistry?
No, chemistry was not one of my favorites. But it goes to show you what we know, Steve. None of us liked that call, and she made it absolutely perfect. So.
I think the way she executed that shot, she's probably good at physics with the angles.
35 years of curling experience, but what do I know?
So Wendy is now, she's playing the run back, Ken. And they're pretty close. They're on and off, but I think now it's going to have to curl a little more. Just missed it.
Stuck in a little bit of a straight spot there, I think. So, if the initial indication is correct, this is a very surprising call.
And Ken, going back to Wendy's too, I guess she could have, instead of running the guard, although it was dead buried, she could have tried to pull one in behind, maybe freeze or something like that, keep a few more rocks in play. But she opted to play the run. And now, as you said, Kerry is playing the guard. And they got to be careful here. If this, possibly over curled, then Wendy would have a little hit and flop and be in behind corners. And it's game on for Wendy.
Yeah, this is an incredibly aggressive call and very surprising. I think most teams you would see just go hit that back yellow one with a 4-0 lead. Okay, look, she slipped in too far. There may be a double there for Wendy to lie to and turn this end right back around again.
I guess you could play the double, Ken. You could get really, really aggressive and freeze to those two blue and or bump one back a foot or whatever the case might be. Keep a few more rocks in play, but Wendy's opted for the hit.
Yeah, I'd love a hit and roll just in front of that one on the center as well, too. Would be a great shot. Most important rock here is your shooter. You want to keep that in play.
They're working it hard to hold the line.
Very close. Very unfortunate. They did get one, but they pushed the other blue in behind the guard.
So depending on what Kerry does here, she's playing the hit. I think she called for the hit and level flip. You want to hold the shooter on this, Ken, because if you happen to roll out by chance Wendy's still got that corner freeze again, and still the option for two. She's playing to the wing then.
If you could hit and roll away here, actually, it'd be great and get a maximum separation between our two blue stones. This looks like it's going to be a good stone.
Yeah, it's a real nice shot by Courtney Burnhill, Ken. She made the roll, and they're still lying too. Courtney actually won the 2015 mixed doubles Newfoundland Championship with Mark Flynn.
I went to one mixed nationals, and it was in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and it was probably one of the most fun events I've ever played in, to be quite honest with you. Mainly because of my teammates. Keith Brewer, who's out there now, was on that team. His wife, Michelle, and Leslie Ann Walsh. And we curled quite well, ended up with a winning record, but more importantly, we had a great time.
I have heard that's a great event. I've never even played a mixed provincial before, but I've heard that's the Nationals a great event.
I'm trying to convince my daughter, Katie, to form a team with her old man. Mixed doubles is not my bag. A little too old to be chasing rocks up and down the ice. I like the traditional format. So maybe over the next couple of years, myself and my daughter Katie can get a team together and go to a national.
Well, Dave Thomas, who just played the Tankard here out of Port aux Basques, the last two mixed doubles Newfoundland championships have been held at the Gateway Curling Club, and he played with his daughter Sarah, and he told me it was one of the highlights of his curling career to be able to be out there on the ice playing mixed doubles. So great story there. I'd love to play mixed doubles, but it's pretty hard to sweep with the hammer when you throw with the hammer. So I'm thinking mixed doubles is not going to be in my repertoire.
And Dave Thomas is in way better shape than me.
And me.
No trouble getting down the slide, but getting back up sometimes can be an adventure.
So Wendy was trying to run back, Ken, and didn't make it. Rolled the shooter over, just biting 12. Carrie still lies too, and now she's going to play the back one and hit the lie with a nose hit the lie 3. I guess even if she peels it out, she's still lying too, and her second rock could be covered.
Yeah, the key is just to remove this yellow. Saving the shooter is not going to be a big benefit, and actually could be a detriment. Working this one really hard early.
Yeah, pretty much out of her hand, Ken. They were calling for it. I think they're going to have to work this hard. I don't think it's going to stick around. Oh, it's pretty close.
No, that's okay. They're still sitting there. They're two, and they're well separated with no doubles. No easy choice here for Wendy.
So Ken, for Wendy now, it's going to be a skip's deuce. She's got to find a way to try and score two. Is the corner freeze on the one in the 8 foot, is that the best option here to score two at this particular point in time?
At this particular point in time, it looks like it might be the only option. Your only other option would be to freeze the shot stone, but you wouldn't be shot. Would force them to make a perfect guard or draw the lie two. But as you mentioned earlier, Steve, not taking the opportunity when you have it to get that corner guard up, it's really hard at this level to score multiples without any guards in play.
So this is a big shot for Wendy. She's down 4-0 as we play the third in. She'd really like to somehow find a way to get a deuce. Ken, for the week, what kind of times were you getting in terms of the draws from hog to hog? Was it getting up over the 15-second mark, or?
Yeah, it's something we really, really struggled with because it was ever-changing, and all the paths were different as well, too. And it wasn't so much, it came down gradually. When it changed big time. So draw the button sometimes, we were 15.5, 15 3/4, and getting into the button comfortably. And by the end of the game, I've seen as low as 13.5. So, I mean, a 2 second difference is a pretty substantial difference. And how you throw it as well on ice like this as well, too. That's a little bit soft. Some of the younger teams, which are trained to play in arenas, have a really positive rotation. When the ice gets a little soft, your rock will carry a little better. Us older guys that were trained to kind of help the rock curl with our soft releases, sometimes we can get caught on ice that's a little soft and really see some funny times on the clock.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Wendy came up a little light and didn't quite get over there. She must have been trying to freeze that one in the 12-foot. And now Carey has the option to hit this and lie 3 for sure, Ken, potentially 4. And then Wendy's going to face a bundle as she goes down to throw her last rock.
Once again, it's panic early. We'll see if they can hold it.
Yeah, they're
There's
really
a
working it.
possibility here. Oh, well swept. Good job, ladies.
Yeah, that was pretty close to a jam, Ken, as you noted. And now Wendy is going to go back in the hack, facing 3, potentially 4, and she's going to have to get a piece of the 4-foot to score her point there.
Yeah, I'm not sure Carey even had the rock let go and the sweepers were sweeping that, so great job by them. Head down, pound it the whole way, and just held it by maybe a quarter of an inch.
So Wendy, for her career, works as a network implementation manager at Bell Alliant, and she's going to want to dial in on this one and put this right in the 4-foot.
You said it, and they just tightened the ice here now, so they're going to be dealing with a little bit more of the 4-foot pass. We'll see now if it's starting to break down, but the weight is starting to come down here in the middle.
I think our technical director, Kevin, liked the dial-in comment more than you did. I got a chuckle out of him. So anyway, this
I'm
is a big...
focused on the game, Steve. Big shot. Skipper got to draw the 4-foot. Really working this one hard.
Yeah, they've got a third. The third came out. They're really working it hard, Ken.
Still going.
And I think it's good.
And it is. Great sweeping.
Nice.
Certainly a team shot.
Yeah, it's a nice shot by Wendy. Gets them on the board. And, you shake things up. You come back in the 4th end and you get a couple of centers up there and who knows. So after 3 ends of play in this feature game, it's Team Carey Vautour 4, Team Wendy Dunne 1. We'll take 30 seconds and we'll be right back. Welcome back. We're broadcasting live from the Remax Center of the St. John's Curling Club, and it's Draw 6 action of this 2025 Newfoundland and Labrador Scotties Women's Curling Championships. In our feature game, it's Carrie Vautour 4, Wendy Dunne 1. Carrie has the hammer as we play the fourth end. In the broadcast booth today, Steve Sporty Bragg along with Ken Pettigrew.
The action is underway here. As expected, we saw a center guard go up right away. Carey fearlessly came around it, lead made a great stone there to the top of the button. The third rock is on its way.
Just a little bounce there from the lead, Rebecca Roberts and the Wendy Dunne team. But they still do have the center up there, Ken, as you suggest, and we might see some rocks in play here based on Carrie's call. I think she's looking to come in here, so this end could get interesting.
Carey wants to play. Looks like the yellow there would be wide open and accessible for a hit, but once again, maybe her strategy is offense is the best defense, and they come with a second one.
So this is the lead, Jen Glasgow, for Team Carrie Vautour. And that's a pretty nice shot, Ken. They're right to the button. It's in a good spot.
Yeah, and that's heavy. I would have preferred that anywhere in front of it rather than pushing anything behind the tee line at this point. But it makes for great television or a great live stream, as we'll see Wendy now come down as well with another rock and eventually just do exactly what Team Vautour did and push that second blue one behind the tee line.
So Ken, I guess on Carrie's shot there, she had the option to go after Wendy's yellow that had just bounced off, but opted to make the draw. And now due to that, there are going to be a number of rocks in play here, and it's going to get very interesting. I do think they're going to have to work this extremely hard to get it by the guard.
Great sweeping.
And that's the exact shot that you called, Ken. That's a pretty good curling rock.
If I'm Carey right now, I'm probably regretting my last two calls. We'll see now what she decides. Looks like she's going to stay on the aggressive and come in again.
Yeah, Carrie, she's no stranger to national championships. She played two Scotties in 2016 and 2019, and she's calling a very aggressive game here, Ken. She doesn't seem to have any fear and is not afraid to get some rocks in play and junk it up, despite the fact that she has a 4-1 lead.
Yeah, it's fun to watch, and great debate here on this one, though, whether they will take the guard or play another one in.
It looks like they're going to go and take on the freeze. I wouldn't mind taking the guard here at this particular point in time and opening it up a bit, Ken, but she is going to play the freeze, it looks like.
Well, that's one thing I think makes ladies curling sometimes a little bit better than the men's curling, with the exception maybe of Rachel Holman. A lot of the top teams all play a very aggressive game with a lot of rocks in play. I think in a men's game, you would have seen a bunch of peels and runbacks long before now. Good looking stone coming in here, though.
So it is getting pretty messy and clogged up there in the 4-foot, Ken, which is not a bad thing if you're Team Wendy Dunne, in my opinion. I don't think I'd be running anything here. I don't mind firing another one into the 4-foot there, quite honestly, if I'm Wendy Dunne.
It seems like the opposite team here is the one that wants to play the run at this point. So if I'm Wendy, I'm going to try to keep as many rocks in play as I possibly can. Clutter up that 4-foot.
Yeah, intuitively, when you're down 4-1 and you don't have hammer, you don't like to be peeling center guards or running center guards back. So I'd be less inclined to do that, and I wouldn't mind seeing another one being put in the house there.
Yeah, they haven't really tried the outturn side here as well either. An outturn draw around the center could be an option as well too. And I think now they might just be getting to that. And just like, is it telepathy? All of a sudden they see the outturn draw.
Yeah. And Ken, you know what it's like at this level when you get down and you're down 4-1. You gotta get aggressive. You can't be afraid to lose 10-1 or 12-1. You gotta leave rocks in play. You don't have the hammer. You got to do everything you can to try to generate points. And to generate points, rocks in play are your friends.
Yeah, give me a 10-1 loss over a 10-9 loss any day of the week. And also get you the bar quicker too, Steve.
Great point. So this looks a little hot, Ken. So didn't quite make I don't think the shot that they were looking for, but they pushed that yellow over on the button into a really good spot, I think.
They dramatically improved their positioning there right now. That yellow cannot be removed from play. And in one rock, it will take multiple rocks to get that off the button. And that has to be Kiri's goal right now, is to get that yellow rock moving. So she's going to play her blue on top of that yellow, and preferably would keep the blue right on top of the yellow.
Yeah, I think this is almost a setup shot for a few shots down the road because that yellow right now on the button, I don't think that's going anywhere, at least with this shot. But I think this is going to wreck off the guard, Ken.
And that's okay. That's not a miss. That opens things up. Something in curling called missing the right way, and that is certainly missing the right way. You could not afford to get that wide and get nothing.
Yeah, I think you and I both learned that after about 35 years of curling each. The right way to miss. At least we'd like to think we do. But she is going to put up the guard there now, Ken, I think, with this rock. You know, I mentioned not being afraid to lose 10-1. We were up at the Canadian Senior. I was up there with two of your teammates this year, Alex Smith and Mark Healy, and we got a little behind Bruce Corte, who at the time was on fire, who played three Briars, and he pulled the two out of the hat somewhere in the first end, and then we just got a little behind. And if not for a well-executed shot through a port by Alex Smith, the score ended up being 12-2 versus 16-1. And I was really glad he made that shot because my friends who don't curl would have been looking at the scoreboard and wondering what happened. 12-2 felt like a very big moral victory, but Alex made a fantastic shot. But the point being, at that particular point in the game, we were not afraid to give up a 3 or 4. We were trying to manufacture points, and you end up giving up big ends if that's what you're doing.
Yeah, and some people that, like I said, maybe don't curl or don't follow curling can't understand that concept, but I'll tell a quick story from a game I played against Guy Hemmings, and I gave up a 7 in the last end. But the score was tied, and we had to do everything in our power to try to steal one. So I was coming into the top of the button every single time. But I must admit, on my last one, I did take an extra look to make sure there was one of Guy Hemmings' rocks not in the rings before I drew on my last.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. So Wendy got the guard up there, Ken, and I think they were looking to peel it, and they plugged it, and they unfortunately plugged one of Wendy's right in the forefoot into a better spot. So now, yeah, I'm not opposed to that call. Wendy comes right in on top of that. I think yellow was lying shot on the button. Is it, Ken?
Yeah, unfortunately for Team Vautour, they didn't remove the center guard, which was the most important thing to do there.
The other thing you could do is just throw a straight guard on this side and see what Kerry opts to do.
I think this is a great opportunity for Wendy, whether she is shot or blue is shot.
So this is Wendy's third, Krista Crowther. Krista was a geologist and had a career as a geologist, but now is a student rehabilitation assistant or a student in rehabilitation at the College of North Atlantic.
Okay, Sporty. Geologist, and we didn't get a rock joke. Come on.
I missed that one, yeah. Good call. Good call. The lead on Kerry's team is a professional geoscientist, but I don't think we can get the same rock call on that one. Anyways,
So the shot wasn't made exactly as called, but a really, really good result. It stopped top 12, clogging off the center, preventing the blue from being run back. And Gary has some thinking to do.
yeah, that was a real nice shot by Krista, and Kerry's going to go after it here now and try and draw one right around that top yellow or that yellow in the top 12 foot. And this is a really interesting end, Ken.
It looks like one of those ends that's very, very interesting, but pretty soon we're going to find out it's going to be a single point put on the board one way or the other because there's going to be such a cluster there in the middle. And from our vantage point, once again, it's impossible to tell who shot.
So just got the bit outside, Ken. And now Wendy can come in there. They're talking about potentially bouncing one of the yellows. It's pretty messy. There's a lot of traffic in that 4 foot.
Yeah, it seemed to be a pretty good throw. They weren't panicking for line, and the weight was good. But a common word we've been using out there all week is gutter. And sometimes you have that gutter effect around the edge of the fort, kind of the path that the sweepers sweep down for the most part. And it just tends to be a little low in that spot, and sometimes it takes a long time to curl. You can go out wider and get that momentum and get through that gutter, but when you lay it down in the gutter, sometimes it doesn't want to leave. If you think of a bowling gutter, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. You whip it right into the gutter, and it goes way up on one side and comes back down the other side.
Yeah.
Really interesting to call line on.
Yeah, no, for sure, absolutely. So Ken, I didn't see the final call. Are they coming right in to freeze that, or top 8, top 12? Where would you like to see this? Is there anything that they can do? I mean, they're in a really good spot here to steal a point, and that's a bit of a victory after down 4-0 to get the steal after giving up the force. Or are they content just to protect the one, or is there a shot there to try and steal 2 here, or set up for a steal of 2?
Yeah, if they're confident they are shot, and judging by the call, I assume they think they are shot. The call was short, but I do think the call was like a top 12, top 8. We'll see now where it ends up. I think they're going to be content with just a guard, which is fine. Does the job just effectively as well.
So good shot there by Wendy Dunne. We mentioned Wendy's daughter, Camille, is playing over on the ice next to her on ice 4. Her son, Jake, used to work on the ice crew here for a couple of years. I don't know if you remember Jake working around here at the club.
Certainly is.
He was a technician on the ice crew. So she wanted me to give a shout out and say hi to Jake if he's watching.
As I mentioned earlier, this may be a situation where both teams just kind of guard out and let that single point go on the board. Really getting difficult to improve your situation for both teams right now in the house.
Yeah, great point, Ken. Now they're going on a bit more defense, and I think they are going to throw a guard on this rock and kind of let Wendy determine what she's going to do next. And they may give up a steal of 1, but they don't want to come in and set up something that could give up a steal of 2 or 3 if they put it in the wrong place.
If you really, really needed to move that yellow off the top of the button, there is a way. You would need to throw some pretty good weight. I don't think the guard is in the way, but she could hit that one on the wing, the furthest yellow over, maybe about a half of that rock into the blue, into the yellow, and just enough to move that yellow off of the button. But once again, we're not certain if that yellow is shot stone or not.
And this looks like it's over curling a bit. And it may have just curled more than they wanted. Although I still don't know what Wendy has on the other side of the sheet right now.
Yeah, just got caught on the curl side there. You need to take max ice. And what we found all week is you start with one ice and to draw the button, and you got to keep increasing it the entire game as things fudge up and they curl a little bit more. You might start edge of the 8, and at the end of the game, you're out to the edge of the 12 putting the broom down for a draw to the button. So something you need to be cognizant of as the game goes on. I'm not certain that either team is 100% confident who shot. Spend a lot of time looking at it. If yellow is not shot, they could potentially do a little blue, yellow, blue tap to make sure they are shot.
Yeah, I think if we see Wendy play some sort of guard here, that would indicate to me that they think they're shot and they're going to try to get the steal. But I agree with you 100%. If you're not shot, you want to be tapping. Then I think the tap on the blue is your best option to get shot rock. And if you're watching this at home, these are great overhead views that we haven't had before. Just before the Tankard and the Scotties, Ken, we had some new cameras installed here at this end of the ice near the glass. And, want to give a big shout out to Trevor Bartlett, who's at home, who's the technical director, and Kevin Foley, who's in the booth with us today. He's doing all these transitions with the shots and views of all of these houses, and you're able to see, which rocks could potentially be shot, etc. So these guys are spending a lot of time to produce a great product for us to broadcast across the province, across the country, and to some people around the world. So thanks very much to Trevor Bartlett and today's technical director, Kevin Foley, for the great work that they're doing.
Wendy's Rock is underway, and the last indication I saw was that they were playing a guard.
Yeah.
And this one is really moving too, Ken, but I think it's going to stop in time and be in a pretty good spot.
It looks like we may have a throw through, and will let us know who is shot and who will score this end. Steve had a great point. I mean, this is fantastic, this stream. First time for me in the broadcast booth, but I've watched dozens, if not hundreds of games. And when the Tankard's over, come back on Tuesday nights. We have our Super League every Tuesday night live streamed. And take the opportunity right now to bookmark the St. John's Curling Club's YouTube channel and check back regularly. Anytime there's a provincial event, they'll be here. And every Tuesday night as well, too, for great Super League action. It's coming down to the wire. There's a bunch of teams in the running in the Super League. We'll see now. Hopefully we'll see now who scored.
Yes, great point, Ken. I've been doing this now. It's my 4th year of broadcasting the Tankard and the Scotties, and it just gets better every year. The quality of the pictures and the transitions, and just it's a really good product that we're producing, and we're just the guys calling the game. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes, and we're really thankful for having such a great technical team. So, Ken, I don't know if I saw what the final result was there, but we'll take 30 seconds, and when we come back, we'll update you on the score, and we'll also go across the sheet to give you some updates. So we'll be back in about 30 seconds. Welcome back. We're broadcasting live from the Remax Center of the St. John's Curling Club. It's the 2025 Newfoundland and Labrador Scotties Women's Provincial Curling Championships. And in our feature game on sheet 3, it's Carrie Vautour 4, Wendy Dunne 2. We're playing the fifth end of this feature game. And in the broadcast booth with myself, Steve Sporty Bragg, it's Ken Pettigrew. Ken, maybe we'll take a minute just to go across the sheet and update the viewers on the scores. And we'll start over on ice 6 in the C semifinal. It's Ty DeLello is up 2-0 on Corey Shue after 4 ends as they play the fifth end. On sheet 5, Sarah Boland has jumped out to a 6-1 lead over
that. We turn the color, Steve. Boland, you the yellow.
Sorry, Stacey Curtis is up 6-1 on Sarah Boland. I think we're good on that now, aren't we?
That's what I have. I could be wrong. That's what I have.
On sheet 4, we're into the fifth end, and it's Brooke Gosland up 4-1 on Megan Blanford. And on sheet 2, we got a barn burner of a game going after 4 ends of play. It's Andrew Simmons and Parker Tipple locked up at 1. And we mentioned earlier, Ken, Parker Tipple and the boys, they are having a great week. They've just watched in the Rick Rousel Classic, Simon Perry and those guys won that spiel. And these guys have been giant killers. They knocked off Simon Perry. They knocked off Greg Smith today. And they are obviously playing at a very high level because they are giving Andrew Simmons all that he can handle today.
Yeah, as I look over now, I see a sea of Tipple yellow rocks there. So looks like a fun game going on over there. And on our sheet, just to fill everyone in, it was indeed a steal of 1 for Wendy in the last end. So Carrie Vautour will retain the hammer. And a bit of a change of strategy initially when Wendy put up her center guard in this end. Carrie ignored it and attempted to draw to the wings. So trying to play it a little bit more defensive, but looks like she may have slipped a little bit deep on her last. So she's got her guards up and rocking the back of the 4, and away we go.
Yeah, so this is Wendy's second Mackenzie Dunne, and she's going to try to pull one in behind those guards, Ken. And sometimes, when you get rid of that hammer and you get into a mode where you're trying to steal rocks, you do have the free guard zone. You can get some guards up front, and sometimes it just changes things around. And Wendy was able to get the steal last end, and now she's got some rocks up front. So there's some action here in the fifth end as well.
Looks like that one came up a little bit light, just chipped off the guard. We'll see now how aggressive Carrie wants to be, whether she's going to peel some guards or whether she wants to make a play in the house.
So, Ken, I think she's opted to take the center guard, which is probably the trouble rock right now, and going to peel that off and try and open things up a bit.
Yeah, the indication there was just a single peel. Open things up. Fortunately, this one's curling, though. And an unfortunate jam on the back as well, too. So really did not move the center guard off fair enough, and unfortunately jammed it on one of her own in the back of the house. Lots of rocks here to work with.
So Wendy is going to, you saw her tap, she's going to try to come right in there, Ken, right to the lid, as we say, right on the button.
Looks like minimal ice, but we'll see.
They haven't been working it overly hard. Now they're starting to.
It's that.
Yeah, it's really going, Ken.
Hits that line there, it'll go.
And that's going to bounce off the top one.
Well, so if they had cut it a little quicker, maybe they could have got it by.
Still not a bad situation for Wendy Dunne. There's a couple of guards up front. She's got two of her rocks in what we call the control zone. So not a terrible position for Wendy Dunne if you're trying to steal a point in this end, Ken.
No, not at all. For Team Vautour here, they've got a few options. They can hit the one that's wide open and essentially try to roll behind, preferably in some sort of staggered situation. And it's certainly never wrong just to walk up and peel off that center guard as well too. So by peeling off that center guard, you could certainly catch one or two of those yellows in the rings as well too.
So they've debated back and forth whether to take the guard or make a play on one of those rocks, Ken, on the top of the house. I didn't see the final call.
I think she's going to hit the middle one, which would be probably my last choice. I think either the guard or the wider one and roll in. We'll see how this works for her.
She has given this a fair bit of weight.
She got this wide, and she may make the shot that I would have liked to have seen anyway, which is just like a little hit and roll a rock inside. Not going to roll too far.
Yeah, it would have been nice if she could have hit that a little fuller. And like you say, you got the flip under, and you're going to see Wendy play that exact same shot that she called on her last rock, and try to tuck one in there, biting the button.
And she's giving her teammate here just a little bit more ice, so this should be close.
So this is Wendy's third. Krista Crowther, who's actually got 3 provincial junior curling titles, so she's no stranger to some of the big moments in these spiels.
Yeah, still not enough ice there, unfortunately, or maybe they're light. Not close to the desired result, but another rock in play. Staggered situation at the top of the ring is going to be a very dangerous thing for whoever gets behind it first.
Yeah, we were broadcasting the game the other night, and they ended up being staggered guards. And I said to Mark Nosry, I know you never like to see the stagger when you're a skip. And he said exactly what you said. The only way I like the stagger is when I get behind it first.
I've already got one in there, even better again.
So Carey could put a lot of pressure on now if Courtney can tuck this one in behind those 2 rocks, and they're working it really hard, Ken, to get it by. This looks
very close. Oh, slight rub. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, everything really busts hard towards sheet 2, which is the turn they're playing right now. So that's what a maximum curl is on the ice when you get way out up on the top of that hill and you get all that momentum going towards the button. I think they could easily give another rock's worth of ice, knowing that it's going to finish hard there.
They did take the guard, Ken, but I think there's still maybe a sliver or a portion of that rock behind the stagger. Looked like Wendy called for about a board waiter here to try and bump that, and they're going to have to work this one hard, I think, to get by the guard. It's going to be close.
And they're successful. Slight jam in the back.
That's a really nice shot by Krista Crowther. She's taking the top rock, Ken, and she moved that rock out of the 4-foot. Carey still has the option to make that hit and roll, but nice shot by Krista to remove one rock and bump the other one to the back of the 8-foot.
That's a spectacular shot when the maximum weight you could throw was board to get that back one moving. A great result. I'm not certain of the call on this one. Sporty, did you get this?
I think they're playing maybe a board control type weight. Ken, and Courtney is going to try to hit this and just flip under the stagger. I think that was the call.
And hit the blue in the back, yeah, which we can't see there from our TV screen vantage point. Now you'll see it.
Yeah, you want to be careful if you're trying to play the roll. You got to make sure you roll it enough that you don't jam it. She's going to nose it, I think, Ken.
Will it touch the blue? No. Okay, they're line 2.
Ken, you're down here now. You got to get the steal. That rock, I don't know if you hit and roll that if you're going to be shot, if you're windy. My first inclination, maybe you come out wide behind all of those guards, behind the stagger, and even if you come back 4 foot. I realized Kerry would have the run back, but if you're going to try to steal a point, I'm not opposed to going all in here and drawing behind, or do you prefer to hit and roll?
In a 10-end game, I still think there's lots of curling left. If you were to force here in 5, it's not the end of the world. You're down 3 with hammer and 6, with the opportunity to have hammer and 6, 8, and 10 in the second half. And a 3-point deficit is not the end of the world. If there's any way you can put a pressure shot on here to make her have a tough shot for 1, if she gets her 1, keep fighting.
That's why you're skipping and I'm not. I just want to go out and throw some rocks and call some line and call it a day. But yeah,
if you're going to see anybody make a real tough or call a real tough draw shot, you're talking to the guy right here. So I'm not saying I'm going to make it, but I'll call it.
Yeah. So anyway, they are opting for the hit and roll, Ken, and they haven't laid a broom to this yet at this particular point. And I don't think they're going to get the roll.
No roll and no double, so trouble here now.
So now I think you'll see Kerry come in behind that stagger. Maybe you don't have to come into the 4 foot, because if you do, it might give Wendy a bit of a bailout to draw down and freeze. Maybe biting the top 4 foot, even full 8, just nibbling the 4 foot. The only downside to that is we could see that draw the other way into the 4 foot, but it's a good opportunity here now for Kerry to potentially score a deuce.
Yeah, you were exactly right. 40, I think that's exactly where I would want it as well too. Just fighting the 4 and bearing it is not that important. I'd prefer maybe to leave it even half open. But weight is everything here. You don't want to slip deep.
Again.
The curly draw that they've struggled with. Not certain they gave enough ice.
Yeah, that's going really hard. I think that's going to bounce on the guard, Ken. Kerry still does lie shot, but this is an opportunity now. Ken, I think they're talking about 2 different things here. You could draw and try to get into the 4 foot and really put the pressure on to try to steal. I think they're contemplating the hit as well. That would give Kerry a draw, but she could potentially be drawn against 3 if they hit this. So I think that's the discussion as to what they're talking about hitting here.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough draw. It certainly is there. I think there's enough ice. You just need to go way out there, maybe at the middle edge of the 12 if you wanted to draw down there. Anywhere in front of that bluestone would be, the bluestone in the back 8 would be perfect. And it's not an easy hit. I think you can maybe see 2/3 of that back blue, and if you were ever to crash the top blue, it will be a disaster, potential 3.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So there isn't going to be no hit. They're going to draw down here, as you suggest. Even if they freeze it, makes it a tough shot for Kerry. You're getting the force at worst.
Not a lot of ice. I don't know if she's playing maybe a heavy draw, or it's still just not catching on to all the curl we're seeing on this turn.
So, Ken, as we said earlier, they unfortunately gave up 4 in the first end, and then they were forced. But they came right back and got the steal. This is a big time here now for Skip Wendy Dunne to make this draw, put some pressure on Kerry, and make her make a shot to potentially just get her 1 and bring the steal into play. So
Yeah, for
big
sure.
shot.
Because even the force in three, it was a great force when he made two great shots to get her one, and then the steal. But once again, I just don't know if they're taking enough ice. Can they get this one by, Steve?
I don't think so, and they got to be careful they don't bump that blue to second shot can, or it might be a draw for three then for Carey.
You draw for three.
Wow, it's a big turn of events here. So Carey's going to go back in the hat can, and she, for the most part, just needs full 12, maybe just bite 8, and she's going to score 3.
And she's given that extra rock's width of ice as well too, which is important. When they were crashing there, they had the broom in the middle of the 8, and it was just going hard on them.
So big shot here for Carey Vautour. She can really blow this game wide open, Ken, with a 3 here. And they've been on it for a good portion.
Not heavy,
of the
Steve.
shot. Courtney Barnhill has gone out there to help sweep this, but it looks pretty good to me, Ken.
Yeah, sweepers picked up on that early. Good sweep, kept it straight, kept it moving. Big 3 points.
Yeah, nice weight there by Carey. Good call by the sweepers. And it's going to be a 3-ender for Carey Vautour. So after 5 ends of play in this feature game, it is Carey Vautour 7, Wendy Dunne 2. We'll take a few minutes for the 5th end break, and we'll be back with 6th end action. Welcome back. We're broadcasting live from the Remax Center of the St. John's Curling Club, and it's sixth end action of this feature game in the 2025 Newfoundland Scotties Provincial Women's Curling Championships. In our feature game, it's Kerry Vautour 7, Wendy Dunne 2. Ken, in the fifth end, Kerry just scored 3 to blow this game wide open, so it's going to be a long road back now for Wendy Dunne.
Yeah, it was tough too. It was just one of those. Where did that come from? Three enders coming to skip stones. There looked like we were talking maybe a force, maybe a chance to steal, but one rock didn't do what it was supposed to do and tapped up an opposition stone and left a wide open draw for 3. So here we go now in the sixth, and I think you'll see Team Vautour play more defense here now in the second half. They're starting off here by putting both their lead stones in the house. This one may be a little heavy.
Yeah, that one was a little heavy, Ken, and now Wendy, I think, did she call for another corner guard, or is she actually going to come in the house there?
I'm not sure if she called a tight guard behind that one. Typically, you would want to take advantage of the 5-rock rule and get two guards up, whether they be on the same side or not. And once again, that rock that slipped through, it's about missing the right way. You never ever want to be light in that situation and end up with a guard.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier, Ken. We are playing the 5-rock rule, as you alluded to earlier. And for those at home, that means you can't hit a rock if it's in the guard zone outside of the rings. You can't hit that until the 6th rock at the end. And it's really set up and designed to create more offense in the game and to allow teams that are behind to try and generate some points and get back in the game. So if you're down 7-2, guards are your friends. And Wendy now has 2 up there. But Kerry can't hit them, I don't think, at this point until her next rock. So she is playing another one in the house, Ken. I think she's going to try and freeze or go top 4 on this one.
Right now, it looks good.
It's a nice shot there by the second on the Kerry Vautour team, Sydney Parsons. Sydney's a marketing and communications specialist at NLO, which is the Newfoundland Labrador Organization of Women Entrepreneurs.
Yeah, certainly was a nice shot, and big pressure on Team Dunne here now. They'll need to get a rock in front of those 2 blues.
Yeah, Ken, for Mackenzie Din, the second here on Wendy Dunne's team, I wouldn't mind seeing her come down and maybe even if you just tap those a little and try to create a little wall, froze to it, just freeze tap type thing, I think it'd be a pretty good shot. But this one's going to have to move a fair bit to get over to the blue.
A little strong. I think they probably gave the ice for the draw, but through the tap weight, and sometimes you get caught that way.
So again, Kerry is getting pretty aggressive here. She's up 7-2. She could start peeling now.
Traditional strategy would be to walk up and peel off that guard, but you've got to think you're in such a great position here. Maybe you can end this one a little bit early with some very well placed rocks. I know she originally called guard, but I think she may have changed it up and called it in. I'm not sure. I'd like this one top 12, somewhat under.
Well, they're looking for a 3, Ken, I think. And that's about what they're going to get. Maybe a 2.5, but it's an interesting end here. I mean, those 2 rocks are in a really good spot. But now Wendy, you don't like to be peeling when you're down 7-2. But those 2 blues are both in the button, so not surprising she's trying to clean things up so she can access those rocks.
Yeah, looks like a double peel here on the way. Over curl there and just got the one.
So I had said the peel earlier, but Carrie actually doesn't have hammer. So with those rocks in such a good position now, she's going to junk up the front. And like you said, good opportunity to try and steal here and put this game away.
Some teams are just more comfortable playing with a lot of rocks in play, and from what I can tell, both teams seem to like a lot of rocks in play. So play to your strengths.
Ken, they haven't laid a broom to it. The line looks pretty good, but it is maybe a little hot. No, it's in a pretty good spot. So she's got the 4 foot pretty jammed up there with those two guards, and Wendy may have to peel.
Yeah, not the easiest double peel. She may have opted here to run that one back into the two at around the button.
So this is the third Krista Crowther on Team Wendy Dunne. She's going to try to clean up the front here.
I'm going to make some noise in the back, I think, Sporty.
Yeah, maybe clip one or two of those blues on the way back. She might get one.
Okay.
Nice shot by Krista. Unfortunately, the two guards are still up there, but I don't know if you could have completely avoided that the way those were lined up.
No, you removed one from the button and you turned a blue guard into a yellow guard. So having your own stone up there is always slightly better than having your opposition stone up there if you need to run it back again.
So Courtney is going to put another guard up there, and Wendy's going to have some decisions to make. Courtney told me she's a Milwaukee Brewers fan, but also a Jays fan. And she said she once saw on Canada Day, the Toronto Blue Jays went 19 innings, and they stayed at that game. I can tell you, Ken, if this game goes 19 innings, you're on your own, my friends. I got my wife and daughter to take to supper tonight, so I will not be here if we go 19.
I think I also saw that game. I think that was a game at the end of the Jays ran out of pitchers, and they had to start using some positional players to try to get through. And I forget who it was, the second baseman or the shortstop, threw his arm up.
Oh.
And I don't think he played again for the rest of the year. So.
After this
games need to be capped at a certain amount. Yeah. So
after this game, we can go down and talk to Courtney. She'll probably tell us who that infielder was.
Close.
Oh, that was just so close by Krista Crowther. She just grazed that on the way back with the run back. That would have really changed around the end had she been able to make that. Great effort, but just could not connect with that blue in the button area.
It appears Team Vautour is concerned about that yellow run back again. They just missed it, so we're going to try to stagger some guards here and take away any yellow run back.
So if Carrie can get this up here, Ken, the sand is running through the hourglass in this end. There's only two rocks left for Wendy. It's going to be a real tough deuce and even a tough score because there's now going to be 5 guards up front here, and that rock is in a good position biting the button.
And the outturn certainly looks like it's there, but it is the straighter of the two sides. Even though it's edge on edge, you think you could chase it with some kind of backline weight, but it's tougher than it looks. I'm going to take it on.
So Ken, with that oyster, just got the broom just outside the 8 foot. You got to move that rock to be shot, I think. You got to tap it back maybe 6 inches to a foot. So you're looking just kind of like back 4, back 8 sort of weight. Back 8 probably weight, back 4.
On the straighter side, yeah, you need everything really working in your behalf. So just enough to tap it for shot. Just get by the guard as close as you can, and take advantage of these newfangled sweeping rules, and get your lady to carve that in from the guard in to the best of her ability. Maybe, just maybe, you can get shot.
So big shot here by Wendy. Really does not want to give up a steal in this end. They haven't laid a brush to it yet, Ken. And I think that's going to have to move a fair bit.
Very, very straight on this side. That's great weight, Steve. It's just did not want to catch the curl. That's the exact weight I would have wanted to play.
You called it, Ken, right from the start before she threw that rock, that side was a little straighter, and that rock just did not finish.
With
She had
perfect weight.
perfect weight for the shot, absolutely, but just couldn't catch the finish.
I'm not sure if Vautour can get the guard up here. If there will be an opportunity for yellow to score this end. Nothing easy, that's for sure.
The only thing I'm seeing, Ken, is if she leaves this a little high, the high blue guard that's just off the center, maybe you hit a half of that and drive it back on the yellow, and drive the yellow back into the house on the blue. That's if this guard is made perfectly, that's all I'm seeing for two.
Yeah, it's pretty skinny, but I think that's probably the only shot that is there. I'm not sure if the bluestone, which is guarding the bluestone, if that could actually help when you go yellow blue. It could kind of straighten it up and send it back towards that one on the bottom.
Okay, and they've got it over. It's going to be a high guard. And like you said, that side was pretty straight. We didn't see a lot of movement. I don't know if there's ever an opportunity. It is a pretty high guard, but you're going to have to over curl when you get behind the guard. Is there ever an opportunity to throw that same weight and bump this back for two?
If it was on the intern side, I'd say yes all day, but I certainly don't think it's there on the outturn side. We've seen this happening at the club for some time now, and it seems to be even a little bit more pronounced. Maybe it's where we flip the rocks, and the rocks are a little bit more aggressive. In the curly spots, you can really get them to curl, but in the straight spots, it's tough.
I think if where they're putting the broom, that run back is the shot that they're looking at. This is the only other one that I see, and I think you're right, Ken. That's probably easier than the. I don't know if you can make this rock coming around with the back 8, back 12 weight. Like you said, if it was the other turn, I think it'd be there.
I'm not sure what this call is. Maybe it's blue on the blue to spill them both out.
Oh, could be. Yeah, that's a lot of ice to be taken if you're going to be hard, if you're going to be hammering back that top blue that we talked about on the angle. So it may very well be a straight back, blue on blue. You get rid of the rock on the button and score your one.
Yeah, there's some danger involved, but at this point, down 5, whatever you think your simplest shot to score is, take it on. And then you can throw it away.
So right out of her hand, Ken, they were calling on this. I think it's going to over curl. And that was what they were playing, I think, to run back straight on the blue. But it is going to be a steal of 1 for Kerry Vautour. And after 6 ends of play in our feature game, it's Kerry Vautour 8, Wendy Dunne 2. We'll be back with 7 end action in just a moment. Welcome back. We're broadcasting live from the Remax Center, the St. John's Curling Club, and it's Draw 6 action of this 2025 Newfoundland Scotties Provincial Women's Curling Championship. In the broadcast booth today, it's Steve Sporty Bragg alongside three-time Newfoundland Tankard winner, Mr. Ken Pettigrew. Ken, it's 8-2 here for Kerry Vautour as we play the seventh, and before we get to the action here, we'll just do across the sheet to let you know what's happening in the other games. On ice 2, Parker Tipple and Andrew Simmons are in a very big battle there. It's a tight game. It's 2-2 after 6 ends as they play the seventh end. On sheet 4, looks like Brooke Godsland is up 7-1, I believe, on Megan Blanford after 6 ends of play. On sheet 5, Stacey Curtis is up 6-3 on Sarah Boland as they play the sixth end. And on sheet 6, Tide Yellow is up 3-1 on Corey Shue as they play the sixth end.
On our sheet, credit to the leads, we just saw 3 perfectly placed rocks. Team Vautour got both of theirs into the top of the house, exactly where they wanted. Wendy with the corner guard.
Ken, I mentioned that you played 3 Briars, which is 3 more than me, which I'd love to have one of those. But I know it was a big thrill for you, and particularly I think your first one was in 95, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going off the top of my head here, but Bill Jenkins, maybe Joey Power, and Paul Harvey. And I'm sure that was a big thrill. There are going to be potentially some curlers here that we see get to their first Scotties or first Briar. For these ladies, the prize is a trip to the 2025 Scotties, which I believe is in Thunder Bay, Ontario. But, you know, you could speak to that. I've had the chance to play in a few national championships, but not a Briar. How special that is for the curlers who are out there playing this week.
Yeah, I'm not going to say one is any better than the other. Obviously, the first time you get to a Briar, it's really, really cool. But I have to say it was somewhat overwhelming as well, too, when you piped out onto the ice for that very, very first time. Second time, you feel a lot more comfortable. And fortunately, the first 2 times I got to go was as a front-end player. And the third time was that skip. So certainly a little bit more of a comfort level. It certainly is different. The bright lights, the people in the stands, people calling out all over the place. And we had a great time, and I have to say, even though my record didn't indicate it, I thoroughly enjoyed all 3 Briars, largely because of the teammates that I got to play with, one of whom is still out there, so I'm cheering for him, Keith Dewar, who's playing with Team Andrew Simmons.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool stat for you. You played 3 Briars at 3 different positions, if I'm not mistaken. You mentioned the lead in 95. I think you played second in 99 for Glenn Goss and Glenn Turpin. I could be wrong on that. And then your 2006 Briar was the year that Guju won the Olympics, and you skipped, I think it was Ryan LeDrew, Jeff Rose, and Keith Dewar.
Yeah, you're exactly right on all accounts. And, of course, that Olympic year, nobody knew we were at the Briar anyway because everybody was still so happy and overwhelmed by the Brad's Olympic gold that year.
I'm pretty sure there were 4 people who knew they were at the Briar, and that was you, Jeff, Ryan, and Keith. So
and probably Mark knows.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yes.
Mark and I had another one of our epic games. It was a tremendous final, back and forth the whole way. Great shots by both teams. Pettigrew knows for the matchups throughout history tend to have been that way. So.
I was here for that. The club was jammed to the rafters, and I remember that was a really exciting game. I think Mark ended up sliding a little deep on his last rock, and it was just a super game. You made if I recall, a fantastic double, I think, in the 10th end.
Yeah,
cross-house double or something to that effect. But I remember it just being a super game.
Yeah, a double that we weren't sure was there, and I can guarantee you it wouldn't be there for me now. I would not be able to throw it hard enough.
So, Ken, back to the game here. We are fairly deep into the end here, and Wendy is facing two Kerry Vautour stones, but she does have a corner, and she's going to try to pull one in behind the corner. And it is a seventh end. We still got a few ends left. If she can get a deuce here and then get back to trying to steal a couple of points, there's still a chance in this game, but she really wants to get the two in this end.
And she has the opportunity. As you say, the corner guard is up. The possibility of a big end is probably not there, but make your shot, grab your deuce, take your chances.
And a pretty nice shot there, it looks, by Mackenzie Dunne, her second. Good weight. Would have liked to just get it a bit more in behind the guard. They tell me she's a really good softball player, and we got a lot of good softball and baseball players out on the ice here in this Scotties and Tankard this year. Andrew Simmons, Mark Healy, Steve Trickett, to name a few, I think are all pretty good with the bat in their hands.
I think Team Tipple and Team Simmons could probably take each other around in other sports. So.
Right. Yes, I think Parker's a pitcher and Spencer's a catcher.
They're both tremendous baseball players, yes. Nice shot there. Pick out that stone that was half buried.
And we'll see Wendy go right back there and try to tuck that in a little more behind that corner guard.
Straight in this spot, but they seem to have the broom in the proper area. If you just hear the guard, you should be able to get this buried.
So, Ken, they should know the ice here. They just threw the same shot right before. Line looks pretty good, but they haven't laid a brush to it. Might be a little hot.
That is great. I think we're going to have a good stone here.
It's a real nice shot by Chris Crowther. Kerry's going to go after it, though, and as you can see her indicate, at this point in the game, you're up 8-2. The pro miss here, Ken, is if you don't get the rock in the house, you got to take the guard.
Exactly. A little bit of a stumble there by the looks of it, but you got the rock relatively close to the broom. And we'll remove the guard from play, so that's a great result.
A nice recovery after the slide, and as we said, if you're not going to get the one in the house, get the guard.
If it was style points 40, I never would have won anything. So.
I was going to say that slide with Courtney's slip is still better than my slide, so I look like I'm in a hurricane coming out of the hack, wobbling around with that hammer grinding against the ice. So, Ken, is Wendy going to put a guard up there, or is she going to draw to the open side and maybe try and get her deuce that way?
She moved over that way, so I guess the indication is open side.
Yeah, she's tapping around the tee line. You'd almost want it to be even so that there's no chance of a double here.
Also want to be second shot, and there's not a lot of rings over there to make that work.
It's right where she wanted it.
Maybe two.
It is second shot.
Second shot. All placed.
So, Ken, at this point, Kerry's up 8-2. We talk about at this level, scoreboard management is very important. So, you definitely don't want to give up more than a deuce here. You got a couple of open hit options. If you take on the one that Wendy's third, Courtney just threw, there's a possibility to jam. So they're going to opt on the shot rock here.
And there's a couple of really good results could happen here, and with low risk. The double is there, and it's really flat, so that's a low risk shot. And if you get a little thick and just roll behind your blue, you will be shot and force the other team into playing that double. So, a couple of ways to get out of this here.
And even if you roll it over by the yellow, even past the blue, you're grouping the stones. So after the next shot, there may be a double there where you can get both of them. So, like you say, you're absolutely right. A lot of good options on this shot.
You hate to be playing skinny doubles in these situations. You like the thick doubles. You want to take the flash out of play. Did I jinx her? Not enough to remove it.
So I think Wendy now she's got an opportunity to split the house, Ken, and if she can put this even with the other one and not leave a double, she's going to have a good chance to score two here.
If Wendy can execute both her shots, it's a guaranteed deuce.
So Ken, a couple of as Wendy goes back to throw this draw, a couple of really interesting developments in both men's games. In the seventh end, Ty DeLello scored two, I believe, and is up 5-1 on Corey Shue as they play the eighth end. And Corey Shue is playing for his tankard life right now. If he can't win this game, his prior dreams are over. So he's going to have to find some points in the next couple ends. And on ice two, it looks like there was a steal of three by Andrew Simmons. A steal or a... It was a steal of three, yeah. And so Andrew Simmons now leads Parker Tipple 5-2. And Parker also has to win this game or his tankard is over. So it's going to be some interesting moments in these last couple ends in both these games.
In our game, Wendy with a perfect draw, splitting the tee line, exactly as she wanted.
Yeah, you couldn't walk that there any better. It's a perfect shot by Wendy Dunne. And Carey will hit this, and Wendy's either, if Carey holds the shooter there, Wendy's going to have an open hit for two. If Carey can't be shot rock after this, there will be a draw for Wendy to score two.
Carey's rock is underway, and we're working it very hard.
No, just turn around and walk away.
And great work by the sweepers.
Unfortunately, she wasn't able to hold it for shot, though, Ken, so Wendy's going to have a draw for two here in the seventh end. You know, you mentioned Wendy's had some club championship national experience. I know when I was talking to her, she was really proud of, I think in her first appearance in 2017, she won the Sportsmanship Award, which was a big thing for her. And it seems to be a trend that, we've had a number of people away who go up and represent Newfoundland very proudly and get the Sportsmanship Awards. And I know it's a really cool accomplishment that she's proud of, and congratulations to her on getting that at the 2017 clubs.
Well, I will mention something that was said to me by another coach, and it was actually said to a young lady I coached by the name of Kate Young, who won the award at U18s. And he said it's the single greatest accomplishment you can do individually in curling. And why? Because it's voted on by your peers. So when your peers recognize your skill level and your sportsmanship, it's pretty awesome. I think we just saw Wendy come up with a light.
Yeah, you're absolutely right on that Sportsmanship Award, Ken. And unfortunately, Wendy did come up a little light, so she's only going to score one. After 7 ends of play, it's Carey Vautour 8, Wendy Dunne 3. We'll be back with 8th end action in just a moment. Welcome back. We're broadcasting live from the Remax Center of the St. John's Curling Club, and it's eighth end action of this feature game in the 2025 Provincial Women's Curling Championships. In our feature game, it's Team Carrie Vautour 8, Team Wendy Dunne 3. We're in the eighth end, and Wendy does not have hammer. She's down 5, so she's going to have to basically go after it here now and get super aggressive to try and generate some steal points.
Yeah, unfortunately, a little bit of a tough start. She did get that one guard up on her first stone, which is the a high center guard. But unfortunately, on her second effort, she chipped it. So you got 2 corner guards to work with now. Team Vautour's having no more of these rocks and play business and have just decided to throw away their first 2. And they'll go hitting as soon as the rule book allows.
So, Ken, in one of the ladies' games, there is a final. Brooke Godslin has defeated Megan Blandford. So, Brooke's going to finish the round robin at 4-1, and she'll wait to see what happens. This is a big game. If Carrie can hold on, she'll move to 3-2 in the standings. Wendy Dunne will go to 3 losses, and I think at 3 losses, that means your Scotties is probably over. I do believe. So, big game here for Carrie and Wendy. And Wendy's going to have to try to find some offense here in the last couple ends.
Wendy drew one in there. Unfortunately, it slid a little bit deep, and in the spot there where curls is probably accessible on the outturn side.
And while they're talking about this, I referenced one ladies' game as final. In the other ladies' game that's going on in Ice 5, Stacey Curtis scored 2 in the 7th and now has a 8-4 lead as they play the 8th end over Sarah Boland.
And our feature sheet, they did the math better than I did and also realized that they are allowed to start peeling off those guards. Sometimes it can be a little confusing as a skip. You see those 2 corner guards and assume you can't hit them yet. But we're yellow through first this end, and the 5th rock had been thrown. They walked up and successfully peeled off the most dangerous of the 2 guards.
And with that,
sorry, I was just going to say I got to live through the full gamut of the no free guard zone to the 3 rock rule to the 4 rock rule and to the 5 rock rule, and every time they increase it, it just makes curling that more fun, both to play and to watch. The more rocks we can get in play, the better. Recently as well, too, we have that no-tick rule. If you put up a center guard there, not only can you cannot hit it, you cannot remove it from the center line if it's touching the center line. So that's another great innovation, just getting more rocks in play. Last week at the Grand Slam, they tried out something else new as well, too, where you're not allowed to blank a second end in a row, even though it didn't necessarily lead to a lot more offense. I can say it really changed the game and changed the strategy, and just got more rocks in play, and I thought made things a little bit more interesting. It's great we can be innovative. Curling has a great history, but anything we can do to help improve the game, help improve the way it's being played, help improve the fan experience, I think is great. So,
unfortunately, on that peel, they ticked the high guard. They were trying to take the one on the center line, so Wendy's got a couple of rocks in play now and can try to draw on behind. But just to take, touch on what you were speaking about, Ken, I agree with you 100%. Any way we can make the game more interesting, more exciting for people to watch. All of these innovations are great. Back when you and I played, it was hard to find a curling game on TV when we first started in junior. And now, I mean, we're getting coverage of all the Grand Slam tournaments. You can see every draw, the Scotties and the Briar. I know a lot of people who now love to watch curling who've never thrown a curling rock. So that is so great to hear. I mean, it's such a great game, and when you understand the strategy of it, it's a really fun game to watch. So all of these innovations that they're doing to make the game have more rocks in play and be more exciting to watch. It's really good to see, and I think it's been great for the game.
And you mentioned, of course, the ability to watch TV, go on YouTube, live streams all over the place. I think it's really helped our juniors more than anyone else. I mean, we're seeing teams like Young Tipple out there, or Team Perry, or Team Kaylee Locke on the ladies' side, and their curling IQ is through the roof. And my daughter's a great example. This is what she does when she has a bit of downtime from school. She just picks up a live stream and watches some curling, and you can do it anytime, sort of thing. Back in our day, we weren't allowed in the club after 6 o'clock to watch curling, so it was still considered a bar back in the day. Until we turned 19, we weren't allowed to hang out and watch curling. So I think it's great.
I was going to say the ratings weren't very good on the 1991 Newfoundland Junior Final when you and I played. So, anyway, Wendy has got some stuff generating here in this end. She is lying 2, Ken, and there is a guard out front. And now she's got an opportunity to bring one into the house, I think is what she called, to lie 3 and maybe put a bit of pressure on Kerry in this 8th end.
Yeah, that has to be the strategy now when it didn't work out for your 2 center guards and you do need a multiple steal. Just try to fill up the house to the best of your ability and put some pressure on that opposing skip. We know the draw weights is coming down out there now, and just drawing the 4-foot or drawing the 8-foot, it's not a gimme.
They're working this hard to get to the house, Ken. Don't know. I don't think they quite got it there. It will act as a guard, but they really would like to, I think, be lying 3 after that rock.
Probably just as well that they didn't get it much further, because it would have been in a pretty easy double situation. But you were right. I think the call there was top 4, top 8.
So this is the 3rd for Kerry Vautour, Courtney Barnhill, and she's going to try to take that top rock, and maybe she'll be lucky enough to clip that back one on the way by and get the double.
Pretty close, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty close, Ken. Nice effort by Courtney. Just missed the back one. It's a good shot. Unfortunately for Kerry, though, with those 2 guards up there, Wendy still has the opportunity to come in and lie 2.
Yeah, that last one that Team Dunne came up a little light on is going to work very much to their favor right now. They could get too buried in behind that tight guard.
So Courtney Barnhill just threw that rock, and as Wendy goes back in the hack, you know, she made the comment to me when I was talking to her. She said sometimes for women playing in sport it can be hard, and they're very proud of their team and the fact that they're 4 women with careers, families, and commitments, and they still go out there and want to be competitive and play. And they're doing more than being competitive in this Scotties Tournament of Hearts this year. If they get the win here, they're 3-2, and they're going to be right in the mix for that trip to Thunder Bay for this 2025 Scotties.
And they're having fun out there too, Steve, and that means so much. Our last game, they played right next to us, and smiles on their faces, and you can hear them laughing and thoroughly enjoying themselves. And that helps you win as well, too. And it helps you enjoy your day, but it helps you win when you got that attitude. One seems to be coming in a little hot.
Yeah, that's going to slide through. They'd like to have that one back. Unfortunately, just a little heavy from Wendy. But just to pick up on what you're saying, you and I both know we've been around this game for a long time. You can have the best 4 shooters on the team, but that doesn't mean it's the best team. And you spend a lot of time, these ladies do, or men, with each other during the season. You get maybe to go on a road trip or 2, and you got to be with people that you enjoy playing with, and that can come out on the ice and make a lot of difference in terms of your performance. So you're absolutely right. You got to have people who want to be competitive, but also there's got to be a good connection with the team, and that can really help the results.
Yeah, curling, of course, a little different from some other sports. There's only 4 of us on a team. The size of a football team or a hockey team, there's going to be little cliques, but you really can't have little cliques when there's only 4 on a team. And all 4 members pulling the rope in the right direction goes a long, long ways. Looks like we have a timeout call.
They have called the timeout, Ken. Um, and they're going to talk about this a little further with their coach, Gary Ryan.
We have a little break. I'll let the viewers know that Team Tipple is attempting to crawl back into their game. Big Dukes in 8. So it's a 5-4 lead for Andrew Simmons playing 9, and Andrew will have the hammer.
And Ken, I don't see any action out there on ice 6. And there's not a score up there, but our technical director here in the booth, Kevin Foley, tells us that that game is over. So I believe that Ty DeLillo has won that game. And unfortunately for Corey Shue, his tankard is going to be over. So now we're just down to 3 teams in this 2025 tankard. Andrew Simmons, Ty DeLillo, and Parker Tipple.
Their timeout is over. It looks like they've decided to peel off that danger center guard.
Ken, you're up 8-3 here. It's the 8th end. That's probably the rock that's going to cause you the most trouble. The rock that is counting for Wendy Dunne, it's in the back of the 8-foot. I mean, if you open up that rock off the 3 position there on the center, I mean, it opens things wide open. If you score this end, it could be handshakes. So I think this is definitely the right call here.
It's the right call. Make the peel, and then start thinking right away about the fact that you are going to have to draw the full 8, maybe the 4-foot. Look at both sides, see which path you would want. Sometimes if I have the opportunity, I'd go discuss it with my front end just to see if they see anything on one side or the other, if the ice is running a little bit better. But probably going to have to make a shot here against 2, maybe 4, and if you make it, it's probably for handshake. So.
And that's a good shot by Carey. She's peeled that off. She might hold the shooter. And real nice shot by Carey. And we mentioned that the 2025 Scotties is in Thunder Bay. Carey told me that one of her team members, I believe, lived in Thunder Bay for 3 years. It was actually Carey who lived in Thunder Bay for 3 years, so she might have a chance to go back to where she spent some time. So this is an exciting Scotties for her if she could ever get back to Thunder Bay. So Ken, to get the steal now, that they're going to, I know it's a high guard, but I guess that's their best option right now. I guess you could throw another center guard and see if Carey peels it or not, but I think Wendy's opted to come in and try.
Wendy's last rock. Wendy needs to lie 2 here now. She can lie.
It is her last rock. You're absolutely right.
8 and back 8 really put some pressure on Carey to draw the full 8-foot in less than ideal conditions.
You're right, and she would like to be second shot here, but I think they're going to have to work that hard to get in the house. They're really working it.
Took too much off, unfortunately, for Wendy.
She didn't get the lie to, but she did cover her shot rock, so Carey has to draw for 1. And as we say, Ken, if Carey makes this might be the end of the game. I don't know.
I love the way Carey approached that as well, too. Obviously, they already had a discussion about where they were going to put the broom, which turn they were going to play, and laid the broom down and confidently went down to the other end of the ice. So they opted for the curly turn, and they're taking maximum ice, so they should be in good shape.
So in the words of Vic Router, full 8 is what you need. And Carey Vautour can, if she can slide this into the 8, pretty much full 8, she's going to score 1. And this may be the end of this feature game here on Sheet 3.
Carey was from Oromocto. She'd probably be here. His favorite curler. Vic love the word
He
Oromocto.
did.
And all hands on deck sweeping this one.
Yeah, Courtney's out to help. And they're really working this hard, and I think they are going to get it there. Ken, they're probably going to get it almost to the button. So nice shot there by
Yeah, right to
Carrie
the top
Vautour.
corner. Well done.
That's going to be one more point. And Ken, it is going to be handshakes. It's going to be a 9-3 victory for Carrie Vautour.
Exciting times for Carrie Vautour. They look very excited out there. So hugs all the way around. So
Ken, it's been a pleasure today. Really enjoyed having you in the broadcast booth. How was the first ride?
it was great. As I say, they put me in with the pros. So they didn't throw me to the wolves.
I don't know about that, but folks, if you're out there watching, we're going to have a great weekend of curling here at the St. John's Curling Club, the Remax Center. Strongly encourage you to come down. You'll see some great curling as we crown a champion for the 2025 Scotties and the 2025 Tankard. For now, on behalf of Ken Pettigrew and our technical director, Kevin Foley, I'm Steve Bragg. Thanks for watching and joining us here at the Remax Center. Have a great night and see you over the weekend.